If you've experienced narcissistic abuse or you grew up with emotional neglect, getting your needs met can be extremely challenging, and there's lots of reasons for that which I'm going to cover today, but in particular I'm responding to one of my viewers who's asked me to talk about how to get needs met in relationships and at work, because that seems a particular struggle for them. So I'm going to talk today a little bit about how you might be able to get those needs met and point to a sort of a wider truth about our needs and the illusion of control. So stay tuned, and I'm going to talk you through that briefly today. My name is Matt Fox, and I'm a parental narcissistic abuse recovery specialist. I help people with low self-esteem rediscover their power and their sense of self so they can really live the life that they truly want. So let's get stuck right in and maybe just talk very briefly about what do we mean by needs when somebody says I can't get my needs met. Well, I tend to think of needs in different categories. So there are emotional needs. I need to feel safe, I need to feel respected, I need to feel supported, I need to feel loved. There are physical needs. I need to feel shelter, I need to feel physically safe, I need to feel well in my body. I might have spiritual needs. I need to feel nourished, I need to feel like there's hope, that there's purpose in my life. And there might be mental needs. I feel the need to be stimulated, to be challenged, to find outlet for my creative thinking. So that's what I mean by needs when we're talking about getting needs met. And if you grew up with emotional neglect, or particularly with a narcissistic parent, getting your needs met can feel very challenging. And a large part of that is due to the fact that you might not even know what your needs are. From a very early age, when your needs are negated or not listened to or humiliated or made fun of or just ignored, then after a while you start to give up on expressing them. You hide them away, you tuck them away, to the point where at some stage you actually forget what they are yourself. And what I find very often, and I've had this in my own experience, is that you get so attuned to what other people's needs are, because you're always on the lookout for how you might serve them or support them, that you really get distance from your own needs. It becomes a bit of a mystery. And so one of the things that can be really helpful with that is just starting to get to know what your needs are by listening more deeply to yourself. And there's lots of ways you can do this. You can listen for a feeling, in what makes me feel good, what makes me feel centered, what makes me feel alive. You can listen to negative feedback in your feelings. So when you start feeling anxious or down or angry or cut off, then that might be feedback that your needs are not getting met. So there can be lots of clues, and there can also be clues in your body. Or if your body tightens or shrinks or falls away, or you have a feeling of collapse, that can be also a sign that your needs are not getting met. So the first thing to do really is to start getting to know what those needs are, because if you don't know what they are, you can't express them, can you? And the second thing really is, well, once you start to get to know what those needs are, maybe you can come into a place of beginning to express them. And that can feel very risky for somebody who's experienced emotional neglect or narcissistic abuse. And the risk is, like, if I really express my needs, they won't get heard, or they won't get understood, or they get dismissed. And all the things that happened to you when you were young might get repeated. And that can feel very traumatizing. It can feel very unsettling. And it can put you off completely from expressing those needs. Or you can find yourself polarizing from kind of the hyper meek place, which is, oh, I'm just wondering if you might possibly perhaps just sort of, could you perhaps just help me a little bit, to being very strident and kind of almost over direct, to the point where you might scare somebody off or shock them. So it's very difficult to calibrate your expression of your needs. And the best way of doing that, and there's different things you can do, but one thing you can do is just to practice and know that actually sometimes it'll go wrong, sometimes it'll go right, but you just give it a go and see how you get on. And the second thing is just to listen out to people who you think are expressing their needs really well, who you find seem to have an ease at doing that, and start perhaps to imitate, if you can, in maybe not word for word, but just noticing how they influence. And just making sure that you're centered and breathing deeply before you ask for your needs to be met. So it doesn't come from a place of tightness or anxiety, but just a place of, okay, this is true for me. I'd like to express this need. Can I do it directly, politely, clearly, without aggression, but without powerlessness either? So finding that middle place is quite tricky. But with practice and time, it can come. And one other thing I've noticed is that when you start expressing your needs, particularly to people who aren't used to it, you can get a lot of resistance. If you're thought of as that person who never really makes any demands, who always shrinks back, who always caves into something, then when you start expressing needs, other people can go, I don't like that. I'm not comfortable with that at all. No, why are you suddenly making demands of me or expressing needs? So you have to push through that. Stick firm to your boundaries. Your needs are as valid as anybody else's. And it's important that you are able to express them freely if that's what you need to do. But it's a journey of finding your voice and finding your center to do it. And the final thing I wanted to say about it is something I've been pointing to in my other recent videos, and that is really the illusion of control. Whatever we say to somebody, we have this illusion that if we say it in a certain way, if we choose the perfect timing, if we find the right space, or we set things up in a perfect way, that somehow the situation will be controlled. But that's an illusion, right? We can't control what anybody thinks or says or how they respond. And holding on tightly to that, which can make you very anxious, is also a route to distressing thoughts. So noticing your thinking about getting your needs met can be very helpful. What thoughts come up? What thoughts do you get caught up in? Because if you're very attached to the outcome, then sometimes when that outcome doesn't arrive, it can lead to despair, to self-shaming, to feeling like I can never get this, I can never get my needs met. So I'm really encouraging you to let go of that idea of having to have your needs met by somebody else, even though that's perfectly fine too. But letting go of the expectation can allow some space for the need to be met. Whereas if you're grasping on or holding on really tightly to have that need met, it can have the counter effect. You don't really get what you want at all. So those are my thoughts really on getting your needs met, and really this counts for anywhere in your life, relationships as well as work or friendships. So if you thought it was helpful, please like or share this video. It really helps get it in front of more people. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more videos from me on a regular basis. And finally, head over to www.mattdfox.com for plenty of resources and helpful tips on recovering your self-esteem and overcoming the effects of childhood emotional neglect. So until next time, thanks for watching and see you again.